Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode talking about the Amazon All or Nothing documentary with Tottenham Hotspur. If you have not watched the first episode in this series, go back and do that. I reviewed it. It was a long, bobbling video of 20 minutes. And now we are on to episode 2. And again, spoiler warning, you are forewarned that I will be talking in depth about the scenes in the show. So go watch it before you watch this. Anyways, let's get started. So it starts off with this little press conference dealio, which is interesting. There's like someone who's briefing him on what to expect in the press conference. Again, I made this comparison before, but it's very much Football Manager is on the dot. It's like, hey, you're going to be asked about Christian Eriksen, Jan, and Toby. What's going on with their contract? Do you want so just be prepared for that. And yeah, it's just interesting how they know that and what to expect. And Daniel Levy kind of looked intrigued as to how Jose would handle all of this, especially the Chelsea comments. On those Chelsea comments, yeah, Jose is not a one club man. He's just very much a man that is in it for the glory. He's in it for the game. He's just very much a manager. He doesn't have any affiliations, and that's fine. The affiliation he has is specifically to whatever club he is managing at the moment. So yeah, I'm okay with that. I know other people kind of get annoyed by that, but that's just how the game is sometimes. Look at Matt Doherty. Yeah, whoever pays you, that's who you play for. That's who you give your all to. Yeah, I think the first thing you see about the West Ham result is it's just all very raw, isn't it? There's not much about tactics. There's not much about, oh, we're going to exploit this space in West Ham's line. We're going to target this person or whatever. Maybe that did happen, but they don't show it. What's interesting is that it's just about mentality. It's just win your individual duels, stay solid defensively. Don't let anything on the pitch disrupt what you have been doing. And that's a recurring theme from his reign, from just these episodes. It's just a recurring theme that, hey, you know 2-0 is not good enough to win this game. You've screwed it up before. Look at Arsenal a few weeks ago. 2-0 is not good enough to win this game, and sure enough, we conceded goals after that. It was not an easy result. Both of the results in this episode were just we have to grind out a result because our confidence is so low. We just need to get goals and then hold on for dear life and grind out a result and just grind out a win, because there wasn't the confidence there yet to just beat teams and beat them comfortably. There just wasn't. And it was just very much about we have to win. We have to win and give our all. And you could tell it took a lot out of people. But yeah, he got them to do it. And at the end of the day, they're wins. And obviously, they inspire confidence. So that's good. Okay, so then let's talk about the Surge arc. The whole milkshake thing is just so Surge, isn't it? It's just yeah, he's a funny guy, and he seems like a nice guy as well, and a good figure around the dressing room. However, he messes up sometimes, and that's kind of what this whole thing was about. You see him, a really, really sweet moment where he's just in the car talking about his past and how he grew up in Paris and how he relates that to the part of Tottenham that they're talking about. And that's really, really cool. You never get to see that about Serge. He's a lot different character by himself. a very different character by himself. When he's with other people, he just seems very exuberant and joking, like with Deli. But yeah, it was really nice to see him as just him. But yeah, it was a really nice moment with the kids, and he knows how much it means to them, so that was really nice. Then we have the like two little personal conversation things. The first one being with Dyer. It's obvious that one of the key themes of these first two episodes is like getting Dyer on board and getting Dyer back to his best. Yeah, they're pointing him out in the training ground and being like, this guy knows how to play, which isn't the first thing you think of when you see Eric Dyer on the ball. But what do I know? I am not a world class manager like Jose Mourinho. But yeah, I think Dyer is kind of underrated in the skill he possesses. I mean, have you seen him take a free kick? But maybe that's not what he's even talking about. Maybe he's just talking about how he plays on the pitch, which is kind of what Jose looks for more. Like, who just gives passion, who just gives their all while playing the game and stuff. That's something that he thinks Dyer is the best at. And I see that too, and I'm glad he rates Dyer because I love Dyer. And then he asks, because he thinks he's so good, why do you think you were out of the team? He kind of gives Dyer a bit of confidence to speak about himself, to think about why he was out of the team under Poch. He kind of explains it in, I was sick a lot and it was hard to get back into the team and stuff, and Jose didn't really want to settle for that response. But I think it was a good moment to give Dyer some self-confidence to talk about himself in that way, to talk about like, well, if you rate yourself 2, then why weren't you more mad that you weren't playing? And I think that was a good conversation for Eric to have. and then we switched to Red Star, where he's taking off at the 30th minute. And you see something that was kind of glossed over from our point of view when we were just watching as fans, the 30-minute substitution. It really looks like it kind of messed with Dyer a little bit. Because it was a really up and down week, or it must have been, I really believe in you. I really believe in you to be a top player, and I really want to bring you to your best. I wanted to sign you a long time ago. And then he subs him off at the 30th minute because he had to make a change. And you could see it just kind of messed with Dyer a little bit. He did not look happy in the dressing room. But that's just part of the game, isn't it? That's how Jose describes it. And yeah, I wish they touched on the tactics for why they brought Eriksen in. Like, obviously, we know the quality Eriksen brings, but someone who does not know who Christian Eriksen is going to be like, why were they bigging up Eric Dyer, and then he was bad, and then they brought on this random Danish dude? Like, it's just interesting because they don't touch on, like, I want to control the midfield more and I want more creativity, so I'm going to bring Christian Eriksen on and adjust the midfielders. It didn't really talk about that, but the main part of that story was Eric Dyer. And then there's the stuff about Serge at Red Star. I'm afraid of you as a marker, and then Serge is just like, what do you say to that? I wonder how that affected Serge. Like, obviously you have to be able to take criticism in this profession. And yeah, maybe it was early to say that, I don't know. But it's funny because it's true. It's really true. If you've watched Surge, you do get scared of him. And Jose was really good about minimizing the amount of time he spends in his own penalty box. So that's good. But this is the first time we see that over the lopsided fullback thing that Jose loves to do, pushing Serge Aurier just forward. Just stay forward. That's where you're best. And sure enough, it brought a victory. He scored a goal in that game. So it's cool to see something like that paying off. Yeah, yeah, it was just kind of cool to see a tactical shift that did really work. It was also cool to see Serge being like, but wait, if I push up forward, there's gonna be a lot of space behind me. And Jose was just like, no, I understand what I'm doing. I'm gonna get Christian Eriksen to cover there, which probably doesn't inspire confidence because you're like Christian Eriksen is going to defend. But yeah, no, it was just kind of a interesting moment because Serge was speaking up like the reason why I don't push up is because I'm going to leave a lot of space and it's going to be rough defensively for us. So it's cool to see players thinking about that and just like raising questions like that and pushing the manager to answer them and stuff. It felt very hectic though. Like this is a change that needs to happen and it needs to happen quickly. We are 2 goals down. But it worked and yeah, it was just something that they had to trust Jose on. And then we shift to the other personal conversation portion of this episode, Dele Ali. Whew, it was a weird conversation, but yeah, you see, they introduced Dele this little arc as like just a guy, a very casual person who just likes cracking jokes, making people smile, and then also on the pitch has a little bit of edge about him, has a little edge about him in real life too. When something serious happens, I felt like it was a very necessary conversation for Dele to have. I don't know how much they played it up for the camera. That's a recurring thing that you think about in these episodes, how much of this is fabricated. Or not fabricated, but exaggerated for the camera. But it sounded like a growing up conversation that Dele needed to have. Like, you were on this career trajectory and it's kind of all fallen apart. And I think you know why, which is a lot to say to someone. And honestly, it gets you thinking about yourself. You're like, yeah, it is all on me, isn't it? Like, I have to be the one to push myself and I can't rely on other people to push me. And you're like, wow, that does resonate. So hopefully it resonated with Dele. It seemed like it did because he wanted to prove people wrong immediately. And he did under that first little stint. He was in superb form after that conversation. And that Dele conversation kind of made me think of something. Jose just kind of always has something to say that seems a bit rehearsed, which is not a bad thing. It feels like he's been in every single one of these situations before, and he has a response to it. The Dele situation, being 2 goals down, being 2 goals up with a fragile mentality, he just seems to have something to say for every situation, and it's very calculated what he says. And I think that's really good. I think it's kind of nice to have just someone who knows what to say, has it worked before, who has had it work before. And yeah, it's just interesting. Maybe sometimes it won't work. But the thing is, he sounds confident when he's saying it, and that's a big thing of being a confident man. So hopefully it does inspire some people. Another interesting thing on the Dyer saga, he saw that Eric Dyer was down and then said, well, he's probably going to feel like he's not going to play the next game. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and start him instead of Winks to just build his confidence. I think most people see Jose Mourinho as a manager who's just going to play the best team, doesn't care about the players' feelings. He's just going to play the best team, play for the result, play to win. But this shows he's thinking a bit long term too. He's like, I want Eric Dyer to be a part of this team for the future, and I want Eric Dyer to feel confident about himself. So he gives Eric Dyer another chance, and sure enough, we win the game. So that's really good. It's really nice, and I'm glad Jose does think like that sometimes. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles other players like Danny Rose, Tanguy Ndombele, Ryan Sessegnon, Troy Parrott maybe. It's just going to be interesting to see if that even comes up in the next episodes. And then finally we have the last result in this game versus Bournemouth, where again it's another just fight for your lives, fight for everything on the pitch moment. Like, this is a must-win game. You have to just win regardless. Even if you concede 3, you have to score another, and it's another scrape by result. But again, it was something that was needed to inspire confidence in people. Even when we were ahead at halftime, Jose was like, here are 3 things you need to work on defensively, which is really nice to see, obviously. Winning balls with aggression. He wants to, we know who Jose Mourinho is. He wants to win the mental side of the game. He just wants to mess with people's heads. He wants to feel in control in the game. And once he can get his side to do that, he feels very confident in them to win. So, yeah, we did still concede 2 goals after that. But yeah, it was, again, very much just score. Just score. We have to win regardless of what happens out there. And he got them to do it, so that's great. The last thing I want to touch on this episode is just how different my expectations were for the season at this point. I was like, oh yeah, top 4 is still possible. I think we can still fight for cups. I think we can go far in the Champions League. It was such a different time, wasn't it? It was just, it's weird putting it into perspective because we still had so much to go on, and it just, it felt like things were finally going our way, and obviously we know that things went off the rails yet again at Tottenham, but it was just interesting to see all the possibilities again and where we should have been. It sucks. It sucks to know that we had that chance. We were 3 points off of Chelsea, and things were looking up for us, but just didn't go our way. I think as a whole, this episode was like a transitional episode. You see Jose making his mark on the team, changing things about the mentality. Again, trying to connect with players, trying to connect with key figures of the dressing room, and things are looking up. Things look up at Tottenham, and it sets us up well for the next episode, which is kind of a downer. So yeah, that's this episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button. Thank you so much for your support on all this. It's been really, really crazy, actually. So I really appreciate your support. And I'll see you for the next episode, and I hope to get that out as soon as possible. See you guys. Come on, you Spurs.